Coffee with Creed, where we discuss race and politics in the Rocky movies. I'm Emmet Ryan, and joining me today to discuss Rocky 3 is Paul Fennessy. Paul, thanks for coming along. And
No worries, Emmet.
Of course, a big shout out to The Score, who Paul's a regular writer for. Not usually in boxing, though, I think it's fair to say.
No, occasionally, but especially during the Olympics and things like that. But normally not in boxing. No.
But so it's Rocky 3. It's not so much about the boxing; it's about sort of the story now. In the first two we discussed, they're probably more serious Rocky films in the oeuvre.
Yeah.
This one's less serious, but like you look at sort of his relationship with Apollo, like as. There's two relationships obviously when we're looking at sort of the race politics. There's like the Clubber Lang character, which doesn't really get how he developed, but you got the Apollo relationship, which is very different, I think.
Definitely, yeah. Like Apollo almost becomes a different character in the third one, or he's certainly like in the first one he's almost an outright bad guy, whereas in the third one he still has that kind of that cockiness.
Yeah.
But it's not as irritating, and yeah, him and Rocky essentially become friends, and I don't know, is that a kind of an apology for kind of painting the black guy in a slightly bad way in the first one, or
It's interesting you look at it that, because like I found that like they actually go out of their way to make Apollo like not look like a villain as such, but just as an opponent, whereas in number 2 they really add the villainy in. Like, it's like, but they definitely, like, there's a much more mature relationship, I think, definitely in Rocky 3.
Yeah.
And it's like, Apollo is the one challenging Rocky far more than Clubber, who was the villain, I think.
And, yeah, in one, maybe villain is too harsh a word, but he kind of, it seems like he almost represents corporate America, because he's the one who's kind of, he's like, you always see Rocky kind of on his own with Paulie, whereas you see him constantly kind of in rooms with people, discussing how they're going to hype the fight and things like that. He's very corporate, whereas Rocky is the complete opposite. He's a total nobody, and it's almost like he's the kind of blue-collar guy who's fighting corporate America, and that's kind of epitomised by Apollo.
Even so, one thing I like about 3, because I hadn't even thought of the blue-collar side there looking into this, because Rocky isn't blue-collar by 3 is the thing, but it's like, on his own, Rocky can't beat Clubber, like, because Clubber's just inside his head. He's just horribly portrayed, I think, in some respects, in terms of his painted character.
Well, he's a monster.
He's a monster. He's basically painted up as a monster, like, and definitely like the way they sort of try and sexualize the character in terms of his approach towards Adrian. Not really, I think, the way they'd painted African Americans before that in it, but it was almost sort of to have Apollo as that balance. Like, I still think that scene at the statue is questionable, and they overdo the evil of Clubber, I think, where he's basically, I'll bring your woman home. Like, that's dodgy, to put it mildly, but it's sort of what they do with Rocky and Apollo. They basically, in order for them, because they both dislike Clubber, like what he stands for, what he's about, like Rocky has to team up with what was his nemesis now, and sort of, like even though Rocky's the fighter, they're sort of equals in a way.
Yeah, it's almost like it kind of, like he said, it gets a lot sillier in 3, and it's almost like a superhero thing, like Rocky has to join up with his enemy to fight the even greater enemy,
Yeah.
There is a lot of fancy in all the Rocky films, but especially in number 3.
I just want to talk about, we only just touched on Clubber there. Before we finish up, I think we do need to talk about Clubber, because like, while there is a lot of maturity in the Rocky films, I think in terms of how to deal with racial matters in the US, I think the Clubber character, like, while like it's kind of strange, I think Mr. T gives a great portrayal of a comic book character, but the character is terrible as well. And I don't just mean in terms of being evil, I mean in terms of he's way too much of a stereotype.
Certainly, yeah. And he's just... I think in the last Rocky film, they apologised for that by making the black guy he's still a villain, but a bit more nuanced. Much more, yeah. But, I think that is one of the... there's a couple of troubling features of the series, and the Mr. T character is one of them. But in other ways, it's quite progressive, as you'll see by the portrayal of
Mason Dixon.
Yeah.
And well, that's all we're going to talk about Rocky 3. Obviously, read the article for the rest of our discussions on that. Join us next time, where Paul will once again be with me, where we're going to discuss Rocky 4, where it's a different type of political matter, to put it mildly.